All right, gang, bonus first class lever video here. I got this little tool. This is one that most of you have probably never used and probably never will have to, because the way we make cans today, they're kind of self-opening, or you use the regular can opener to just completely open the can. But when I was a little kid, in a long ago time called the 1970s, we actually used to get chocolate syrup in a can like this evaporated milk can. It used to come, it had the Hershey's label on it, and there'd be a yellow plastic cap to put back over it, and you wanted to be able to like gently pour out some chocolate syrup onto your ice cream and then put the cap back on. And so what you would do is you would take this, we're going to use this as a first class lever. The fulcrum is actually going to be right here on this point right there. So that's going to be the fulcrum. The resistance is going to be trying to pierce through the metal top of the can with this point. You can see the beak there. And then your effort obviously is in the rest of the handle here in this lever. So effort, fulcrum, resistance. Fulcrum's in between, so that makes it first class. But it is really close to the resistance here, which gives you a great mechanical advantage. So what you would do to get your chocolate syrup out is you would hook the fulcrum under the rim of the can there, and then you would just punch a big hole in one side. And then, since when you're pouring, if you try and pour this out with just the one hole, you get this kind of gurgling effect. So what you would do is you would go on the other side and get the camera steady here, and then you would just make a tiny little hole, so that in that case, the chocolate syrup would flow out, air could flow back in, and you get much steadier pour. And you can see it's coming out a lot easier. And yeah, I'm just gonna dump this. I'm not gonna use it because I'm not making fudge or anything. I don't know what else you use this for. Evaporated milk. Leche evaporada. Welcome back, Garnet Valley 8th graders. Hopefully you enjoyed that bonus first class lever video. We had to do that one because when we flip that around, the other side of that lever is going to be the class 2 lever. So we have to look at what class 2 levers are. And if you remember the free memory aid from the first video, class 2 levers have resistance in between the fulcrum and the effort. The closer the fulcrum is to the resistance, the greater the mechanical advantage. You'll get more force, but the resistance will travel a shorter distance. So a great example for this is a wheelbarrow. And you see in the picture here, the fulcrum is on the left where the wheel is. That's where the whole thing pivots. And the resistance, whatever it is you're trying to move, could be, lumber from your backyard if you have firewood. Or one time I had to move stones from my driveway where they were delivered all the way around back to where my shed went. So I used the wheelbarrow. And by pulling up on the handles, you put your effort into the handles on the right, your hands travel a greater distance than the barrow does. So it multiplies your force by decreasing the distance on whatever it is you're lifting. So that's how a second class lever works. Now let's look at a few examples. So that was the first class lever there, just like that. But wait, there's more. Flip it over. Now it's a second class lever. So now's a good time to introduce second class levers. This is the bottle opener side. This comes in two sides. One side's a can opener, punch holes in the can. That's a first class lever. The other side is a second class lever. So how this works, you have the fulcrum is right here on the end. This is actually going to pivot on. We've got a bottle of Stewart's root beer. I don't know how many of you actually like root beer. I do. And we have to get the cap off. So let me just adjust the camera here a little bit so we get a better look at this. And you can see here the lid is crimped down over the bottle, and we've got to pry it off. So what happens is we hook this part underneath the lid, and we want to lift the lid up instead of punch a hole through the lid. So now this lever is switched around. The fulcrum is on the end here. We're going to pivot on top of the cap, and we're going to use the hook to pull the cap up. Let's just get a better look at this. There we go. Maybe right there. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. I'll put a little more light on it so you get a better look here. Let's focus in. Okay, so again, hook, that's going to be the resistance, pulling the lid up, pivot on top of the can, and our effort is going to be out here, and look how easy that is as we just pry that up. That is a second class lever. So one more time. Effort, resistance, fulcrum. Delicious root beer. Stay safe, everybody. And don't let my wife know I drank some of this soda. She'll get mad. Speaking of cans, another great example for a second class lever is the regular can opener. This one you're probably more familiar with. This is another second class lever. If you look, it's real easy to pick up the fulcrum. It's right here where that peg is. That's where the lever rotates. And the resistance here is trying to push this metal wheel into the metal in the can to cut it. This is a wedge. So this is actually kind of a compound machine. It's a wedge attached to a second class lever. So you're gonna get more advantage out of that. But let's just focus on the lever part. Look at how far the end of the lever has to travel. And look how far the blade has to travel. It only has to go from there to there. So it's only going a couple of inches, whereas the outside of it is probably going, 10 inches or so, 20, 25 centimeters to close that up. So that's going to multiply a lot of your force. So if you haven't used one of these, we can just use the condensed milk can again and try and cut it from the other side. I'll set that on there. You can see how easy it is. I'll do it with just two, my thumb and first finger. There, I just punched a hole in the can. And then I'll use another machine. Whoops, zip right out. Usually you don't do these on the bottom of the can. I try it on the top of the can, but I don't know what's gonna happen when it gets to that point. We'll just start over here. Here we go, see how easy that was. And then we just turn it. And that cuts right through the can. Takes the lid right off. Ta-da! So you've actually got multiple machines on this, but right now we're just focusing on the lever part. So that is a second class lever. Fulcrum, resistance, effort. Thanks for watching.